I have said many times that women do not want to mother their boyfriends, that you should not turn your girlfriend into your therapist. A lot of men mistakenly believe that because they are unhappy, the correct thing for them to do is to find a girlfriend. But that plan is not going to work. That's not what a girlfriend is for. Women do not view it as their responsibility to solve a man's problems. Your happiness, that's not her concern. It's not her role to make you happy. The most obvious reason is hypergamy, because women want to look up to their boyfriends. They want to admire them. They want to feel safe in their presence. They want their boyfriend to be strong, to be a leader, somebody who's taking on that protective role. But if he is emotionally melting down and expressing incredible sadness, deep fears, huge insecurities, how is she going to feel safe around that man? Women do not handle big emotional displays well from men, especially men they're dating, because if he's melting down and having all this emotional crisis, expressing all these insecurities, it is scary for a woman because she's thinking, I was going to rely on you. If you're melting down, who's going to take care of me? This is not what I signed up for. This isn't some moral failure in women. This is just how evolution has wired them. Women are incentivized to look after children, but they expect men to take care of them. But this is difficult because even though women expect men to take care of them and they don't like it when men emotionally melt down, that doesn't mean that men don't occasionally have that need. You watching this right now, don't you get sad? Don't you get scared, angry? Don't you feel insecure sometimes? Don't you feel that strong need to express all your biggest worries, all your deepest insecurities to somebody who loves and cares about you, somebody who validates your emotions? Don't you want that? Of course you do. That's completely normal. Who doesn't need some emotional nurturing? Who doesn't crave somebody taking care of them every now and then? If you say that you don't want it, that means that either you had a perfect childhood, in which case, good for you, props to your parents. Or what I would say is more likely you're lying to yourself. You're denying that you have that need or those desires because the conscious repression of those emotions has worked for you as a coping mechanism. And hey, that's fine. You do you. You'll come to this in your own time. You probably won't like this video very much, and you'll probably find a lot of the topics that I cover on this channel quite confronting because I'm all about self-growth. I'm all about honest, emotional self-reflection. And if that describes you, then please join this community, subscribe to this channel. And if you've already subscribed, please hit that like button. But then what are men supposed to do? Because lots of guys feel this desire come up every now and then to just melt down, to express these painful emotions to somebody who cares about them, somebody who's going to listen and care for you, somebody who's going to validate their emotions. And it would seem, at least on the surface, as though their girlfriend is the perfect candidate. After all, she's there. She says that she cares about me. She says that she loves me. I'm always there for her. It doesn't work out the way that men think it's going to because empathy, it doesn't flow naturally from women towards men. They almost need to be trained into it. It's one of the reasons why I don't recommend that men see female therapists. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. I'll put a link in the description box. But the biggest reason why your girlfriend cannot be your therapist is because in order for the therapist-patient dynamic to be effective, it has to, by design, be non-reciprocal. The therapist is there to meet your needs. That's it. You're not concerned for them. They're concerned for you. They're there for you. You pay them money and then they are present for your needs. That's it. It's a completely one-sided relationship, and it has to be. A romantic relationship can't be like that. It is, in its nature, always going to be reciprocal. You're there to meet each other's needs. But then, what is a man meant to do if he has emotional needs that need to be met that are non-reciprocal? I apologize if this is getting too technical. I know I can get carried away and not everybody has like a degree in psychology. So I'm going to try and speak about this in as plain terms as possible, make it relatable to everybody. So let's think about an example. Let's take this back to childhood. Okay, you're not responsible for the emotional well-being and the welfare of your parents. You're just a child. They are responsible for you. They are there to meet your needs. That's normal. That's natural. That's how it should be. The parent-child relationship is one-sided by design. There are developmental stages that every child needs to pass through in order to grow into an emotionally healthy adult. And one of those stages is a healthy type of narcissism, where the child is utterly selfish. They are completely self-centered. It's normal. It's natural. It's just a stage that they go through and then naturally they grow out of. But this developmental stage can get blocked because what often occurs is adults look at this selfishness that the child is displaying and they project adult values onto them. They think, oh, I can't raise a child who's so self-centered. That's not going to be good. And so they rush the process and they encourage empathy and compassion before it's actually psychologically appropriate. They say, can't you think about others? Think about how you're impacting on other people. You need to stop thinking about yourself. They rush the child into an adult way of seeing the world. And it's tragic because they're often doing it with good intentions. They just don't want their child to grow up to be selfish. They want to grow, a child into be an empathetic person, the kind of person that can relate to others and other people respond positively to. Or sometimes it's less, noble. It's because the parent is embarrassed by the behavior of their child. And so they project that fear and that insecurity onto their child and then demand certain types of behavior. But what happens when you don't allow a child to naturally pass through one of these stages of development is that they become emotionally stunted. It's like they are frozen in time. The only thing that can end up fixing that is to give the adult self the experience that they never got as a child, which is the experience of a non-reciprocal relationship. The adult is given the opportunity to express all of the emotions, all of the thoughts and feelings that they were never allowed to as a child. They're given the freedom to be selfish, to be self-centered, and the therapist supports him in that. So you might ask, well then, is the therapist kind of a replacement parent then? Sort of, yeah, actually, but more like a perfect parent, somebody who is always there for you and completely validates your emotions, and most importantly, doesn't expect anything from you. They're not looking to you to take care of their needs. This is where so many parents mess up. They actually raise codependent children. The children grow up being hypersensitive to the emotions and moods of their parents, so much so that the personalities that get developed are not based on an authentic experience of what the child actually is, but more based on what's going to make the parents comfortable. Typically, it manifests as a repression of all of those emotions that would have made mum and dad really uncomfortable. So even as an adult, you've got that ancient programming inside you. No, can't cry, can't show sadness. That's going to be too confronting for mum and dad to deal with. Can't complain, can't show any anger, because then mum and dad will feel like they're not good parents. And so I've just got to keep swallowing all this injustice that I'm experiencing because I need to protect their feelings. Can't melt down. Mum and dad need me to be perfect. They're already at their emotional limit. They're really fragile. They need me to keep it together because they can't handle another person in the household not coping. And so children grow into adults with this massive emotional burden, all of these repressed emotions that they had to suffocate in order to please mum and dad. And now that they're adults, they're desperate to find some release. It seems so natural to release it to your girlfriend, but you just can't. You can't turn your girlfriend into your mother. That's what your therapist is for. Your relationship with your girlfriend is reciprocal. You help her and she helps you. You compromise, you negotiate, you trade with each other. You're there for her needs, she's there for your needs. But you see, it's not one-sided. You're both there for each other. There might be some pressing emotional need that you want to sort out, but you can't afford in your relationship to only think about yourself. You have to be aware of what impact your choices and your behaviors are having on your partner. That's only right. That's respectful. So you see, by design, the romantic relationship is reciprocal. And so the wounds that you experience as a child, that trauma that occurred in a relationship that was meant to be non-reciprocal, it can't get fixed in this kind of a relationship. It's not going to work. If you try and force it, if you play out your childhood issues and turn your girlfriend into your parents and try and work through those issues and demand that she be 100% there for you, not only is it not going to work, but you're probably going to compromise whatever attraction she felt for you. She's not going to stick around in the relationship. She does not view that as her role. I've made this mistake before. I think a lot of men in the audience probably have. Once I reach 2,500 supporters on Patreon, I'm going to release a video telling a story from my personal life of Julia, a woman who absolutely burned me. If you want to see how close I am to that goal, check out my Patreon. But what I'm really hoping is that you see the nuance here, because while I am saying that in a romantic relationship, as the man, it is expected that you be strong, that you be capable, that you be a leader, because this is what women are attracted to. I'm not saying that you need to be that way all the time. I'm just talking about the context of your romantic relationship. You absolutely deserve to have the experience of working through all the emotions that were never validated, all the experiences that were never processed that are left over from your childhood. You deserve that. It's just that your girlfriend is not the right person to help you through that. You need a different type of relationship. That's what therapy is for. You deserve to have an experience of authenticity. All those emotions that you had to repress for the sake of your parents, you deserve to be able to finally express them with somebody who is there for you, who's your advocate, who validates and understands your emotions and is on your side. I have had unbelievable experiences with therapy that have completely changed my life. I've transformed things that I thought were a permanent fixture of my personality, but it actually turned out to just be a coping mechanism. And getting rid of them has given me a completely new experience of inner peace and consciousness that I never thought possible. I am such a big believer in therapy. I've dabbled in spirituality, I've dabbled in philosophy, and to me, there is no substitute for the raw psychology, sitting across from somebody and going through your emotions and finding out what the hell's going on in your subconscious and shifting that, healing it so that you can be a healthier person. That's the real deal. One of the reasons why I haven't started doing private consultations again is because I have such deep respect for the therapeutic process. And I think that I actually am limited in my capacity to give people what they needed. You know, I had done a whole bunch of consultations as a result of this channel, but when people came to me for advice, sometimes I could help them, but other times I'm thinking what this person really needs is a trained professional. And I don't have those qualifications. Here in Australia, it requires 6 years full-time of study and thousands of hours of supervision in order to get registered. That's not me. I'm just a layperson with a passion for psychology. I feel like my strength is more in diagnosis. Like when people tell me what they're going through or interactions they've had with other people, I'm generally able to explain psychologically what's going on behind the scenes. I know a lot about this stuff and I can generally explain why people do what they do. That's my gift. But to patiently sit with somebody for months, building trust, building a relationship, giving them the space to reach their own conclusions and to process their own emotions at a pace that's comfortable for them, that's not my expertise. It's one of the reasons why I shifted onto doing personalized videos. I came onto the Hey Hero platform kind of as a substitute for doing the private consultations, because there it's purely about information. If you have questions for me or if you need advice, like information, I can give that to you. That's my strength. I'm good at that. But a lot of guys need more than that. They don't just need information. They need a relationship with somebody who they can trust, somebody who's on their side. They need help rediscovering their authentic selves and accessing all of those emotions that they have repressed. If you feel like you have more to discover about yourself, I just hope that you try some type of therapy. But most of all, I want your biggest takeaway from this video to be that there are certain emotional needs that you may have that you need to explore that are not right to do inside your romantic relationship. Your girlfriend is not your mother. Your girlfriend is not your therapist. And trying to fit a square peg into a round hole is likely to just end in disaster. Please take advantage of the incredible body of research and the decades of development that psychology has been through. If you need a therapist, try and find somebody who's right for you. I think that self-work is such an essential component in becoming a high-quality man so that you can attract high-quality women into your life. And therapy is such an amazingly transformative tool in service of that. The very first time that you get physically intimate with a girl can be confusing because you don't know how far you should sort of push it. Should you really stop at a kiss, or if she's keen, should you push further? And what do you make of the kind of feedback that you're getting? This is a complex topic, and I dedicated an entire video to it, my perspective and my advice. It's available on my Patreon page. Go and check it out if you want to see that video. My Patreon's just $5 a month, and you get instant access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. I'd love to see you over there.